Good morning, children. Today we are going to discuss the second lesson, force and laws of motion. In first lesson we learned about motion and we have calculated the speed, velocity, average velocity, all we have calculated. But we didn't learn what causes for that motion. In this lesson we are going to discuss about the force and we are going to measure and how a body comes into motion. Definitely there is required a physical quantity. So first of all, what is meant by a physical quantity? A physical quantity is nothing but which we can measure. So today's lesson we are going to discuss about force and what are the different types of force and how we can going to measure. And today we are going to discuss about force. So force is also a physical quantity which we can measure. So what is force actually? In every class we discuss about force and different types of forces. Same in this also we are going to learn different what is force, what are different types of forces and what are the various things which will be there. So what is force? Simple definition for us. A force is simply we are going to call it as a push or pull for our convenience. But force is a push or pull. So why force is required? So in our daily activities, in order to close the door or open, definitely we are going to require push and pull. Or in order to squeeze a water bottle, so we have to apply a force. And force is the physical quantity which plays a major role in our daily life. Without force, we can't do anything. So this force cannot be seen or cannot be heard, but there are some effects of force will be there. There are effects. What are the various effects of force we have? The first one, force makes the body to come from motion to rest. Force makes the body to come from motion to rest. For example, a body is in motion. So definitely a force is required to stop it. So without force, without applying any force in the opposite direction, a body does not come from motion to rest. So if you want to make the body to come from motion to rest, definitely we are going to apply a force. Understand? And second, rest to motion. So in the first one, we are bringing the body from motion to rest. In second, we are also by applying force, we can make the body from rest to motion. Then what is the difference here? For example, in the first case, a body is in motion. And in order to stop the body, we are going to apply the force from the opposite direction. So here the force which will apply from the opposite direction. So this applied force, the force which is applied from the opposite direction, we are also call it as a frictional force. Frictional force helps the body to overcome from motion to rest. And here second one, rest to motion. For example, a body is at rest, and if you want to make the body to move, then we have to apply a force. Here applied force and motion both are in same direction. What is the difference between these two cases? When you are making the body from rest to motion, here applied force and motion both are in same direction. But whereas when the body from motion to rest, here the motion and applied force both are opposite in direction. So these are the two cases, there are two effects which can be able to show. And also by applying force, you can also change the speed. So the already look at the speed. How we can increase the speed? For example, when you are traveling in a car, how can you increase the speed of the car? By applying force on where? Accelerator. And also in a cricket, most of the people watch cricket. How can a batsman can change the speed of the ball? And by using the bat, you can also able to change the speed. And how can we increase the speed of the bicycle? So by applying a force on the pedals. So force can also increase the speed. And the fourth effect, shape. So a force can also change the shape of the object. For example, water bottle we discussed. If you apply force on the water bottle, definitely it is going to change the shape. For example, balloon. By applying force by ions on the balloon also can going to change the shape. And also rubber band. When you just apply some force by your hands, then you can able to change. But here force can change the shape of the body in two. Either it will be of temporary or permanent. So temporary, for example, stretching a rubber band. After when we release the force, then the body is going to attain their original position, original shape. So in that case, it is a temporary. There are some change in shape that are also impermanent. For example, paper. When you apply some force on a paper and just turn it, the paper won't get again its original shape. So force can change the shape either temporary or permanent. That is depend upon the nature of the object. And the fifth, direction. Force can also change the direction of the. For example, you are going to see the football match, and a football player is going to apply some force by using his leg, and you can able to change the direction of the football. And also a batsman can change the direction of the ball by using bat. So force can also help us. And even for example, daily life, how a person who is driving the car can change the direction of the car by applying force on the steering. So there are the effects of the force. So remember one thing, a force cannot be seen or heard, only the effects can be felt or seen. There are 5 factors in that. The first one, force makes the body to come from motion to rest, and also force helps the body to come from rest to motion. And what is the difference between these two cases? In motion to rest, here the applied force and motion both are in opposite direction. Whereas when a body comes from rest to motion, here the applied force and motion both are in same direction. So these are the effects of force we have. First one, motion to rest. Second, rest to motion. Third, speed. Fourth one, shape. Fifth one, direction. Now, how these forces are categorized? In 8th class already you have learned forces are of two types, contact and non-contact. So, contact forces, and second one, non-contact. So contact forces are of two types. One is friction, or we can also call as frictional force, and second one, muscular. So today we learn about contact forces and non-contact forces. What is contact forces? You already know. When two bodies are physically in contact, then there is a force is going to be present. Such type of forces is called as contact. A physical interaction between two bodies we are going to call as a contact forces. Definitely the physical interaction should be present between the two bodies, then such type of force we are going to call it as contact force. There are two types of contact forces. One is frictional force and muscular. And what is frictional force actually? What is this frictional force help us? So friction is a force which will be acted always from the opposite direction. Do you know what will happen if friction is not there? For example, a body is in motion. If friction force is not present, the body continuously will be in motion. Definitely a force should be there to stop the body. Such type of force is called as friction. Simply a force which acted from the opposite direction. We can call it as friction as various terminology. A force which acting in the opposite direction we can call it as, or the resistance which is present between the two bodies also called as friction. And this frictional force depend upon the surface. If the surface is smooth, then the friction will be very less. If the surface is rough, then the friction will be more. And second, muscular force. So what is this muscular force? The force which is applied by our muscles, by the action of our muscles, such type of force is called as muscular force. In human body, we have more than 630 plus muscles are there. Without that muscles, we can't do our work. Even in order to lift your bag, or in order to carry your bags, or whatever things, whatever the work you want to daily, definitely there will be action of muscles should be required. So muscular force is nothing but the force which is applied by the action of our muscles. Such type of force is called as muscular force. And contact forces are of two types, friction and muscular. And whereas non-contact forces are again of two. One is gravitational, and second one magnetic, and third electrostatic. So these non-contact forces are also various types. Then what is the difference between the contact and non-contact? In contact forces, the physical interaction should be present between the two bodies. Whereas in non-contact force, there will be no need of any physical interaction. So for example, if you come for gravitational force, What is gravitational force? According to Newton's universal law of gravitation, every body attracts other body. Definitely there will be some interaction will be there, and every body should be attracted another body. The same way, Earth also attracts some bodies. For example, when rain is falling, why water droplets are coming towards Earth? Because of gravitational force. And whenever we projected any body upwards, why all the objects are coming downwards? Because of gravitational force. So, gravitational force is nothing but the force which is exerted, which is offered by the Earth towards itself is called as gravitational force. For example, a mango which is hanging for a branch, because of winds it is definitely going to fall down. Why? What is the force which is responsible for? Gravitational force. Rain, gravitational force. Why the rivers are flowing on the land? Because of gravitational force. So, gravitational force plays a major role. Understand why all the planets are revolving around the Earth? Why the moon is revolving around the Earth? Why sun is all the planets revolving around the sun? Because of gravitational force. Gravitational force makes the body to rotate. So the gravitational force of the Earth is of 9.8 meter per second square. Approximately take 10 also for the numerical problems. And whereas magnetic force, what is magnetic force? So we already observed the magnet. It has two poles, North Pole and South Pole. So the force which is offered by a magnet to attract the objects, such type of force is called as magnetic force. For example, if you just bring a iron towards the magnet, it will attract. And the strength of the magnetic force is depend upon the distance between the objects. If the distance is more, it cannot attract the objects. It has some magnetic field. Every ball magnet has some region to attract. Such region is called as magnetic field. So the strength of the magnetic force is depend upon the distance, and also the thickness and everything density will be depend upon. And next one is electrostatic force. What is this electrostatic force? What is static actually? So daily we used to comb our hair, and if we just comb our hair and if we just take into the papers are attracted towards the comb. What will happen? Why it is happening? And why? Because when we rub the comb to our hair, because of the rubbing, there are some charges are developed on the comb. Such type of charges are called as static. Electricity of various branches we have: current electricity, static electricity, and will be off. Here the charges are developed on the comb at static, nothing but at rest. Whenever we just take in the comb near to the papers, it will attract the papers. Electrostatic force is nothing but if a charged body is taken to an uncharged body, or if a charged body is taken to another charged body, then definitely either will be of attract or repulsion. Already you know the fundamental rules of charges: like poles repulse, unlike poles attract. If we took a same charged body towards another body, then definitely it is going to repel. If we take a different type of charged body to the another body, then it is going to be attract. Such type of force is called as electrostatic force. And here gravitational force also is depend upon the mass of the objects. If we take two bodies, that heavier mass object will attract the lower one. Why the Earth is rotating around the sun? Because of the mass difference. The sun is more than Earth. That's why it is able to rotate the objects here. So forces are of two types: contact and non-contact. What is contact force? In contact force, definitely there is a physical interaction is present between the two bodies. Then such type of force we are going to call it as contact force. Contact forces we have frictional and muscular. Whereas non-contact forces are divided into three: gravitational force, magnetic force, and electrostatic force. Next we are discussing two more forces: balanced forces and unbalanced forces. We all know what is balance. Simply we call it as equal. For example, if you place a book or any object on the table, there are some forces will be offered. Why it is said to be rest? When an object is said to be rest, and there are some forces will be acted on the body. For example, this is the force which is applied by us. It is called as applied force, and we mention as capital F. And to balance that, there is one more force which is always acted from the opposite direction, which we call it as frictional force. It is represented with small n. And these two forces are equal, and whereas two more forces, these two forces are acting in a horizontal direction. There are two forces which is acted always in the horizontal direction. They are applied force and friction force. Remember carefully, the two forces which always act on a body which is placed on the table are applied force and the friction force. These are the two forces acts along the horizontal direction. Whereas there are two more forces which is acted along in the vertical direction. The two forces are called as normal force and the gravitational force, or also we can call it as the weight of the body. The weight of the body is always acted downwards because of the gravitational force. So it is always acted downwards, and whereas one more force to balance this gravitational force, there is one more force and it is offered by the surface of the table along the vertical direction. Such type of force we are called as normal force. And in balanced forces we are also called net force. What is net force? The sum of all forces acting. The algebraic sum of all forces acting is called as net force. In balanced forces, the net force is said to be 0. Why the net force is said to be 0? Because the applied force and the friction both are equal and opposite, and whereas in the vertical direction, the gravitational force and normal force are also equal and opposite. They are equal and oppositely, they will all be acted, and at that time the net force is said to be 0. And we know that when a body is said to be rest, when the net force is 0. When net force is 0, if the all forces acting on the opposite directions are equal, along the vertical direction, equally should be acted but opposite. Whereas in the vertical, equally should be acted but opposite. If the algebraic sum of all forces acting on the body is 0, then the net force we call it as 0. And we say that the body is said to be rest. Whenever the balanced forces are acted, then the bodies are going to change their shape. For example, if you apply some force by your hands on an inflated balloon, then the balloon is going to change the shape. Only the balanced forces can able to change the shape. For example, if you are playing the tug of war with the rope, if two forces are equally applied by the two groups, then the rope is said to be rest. So, what is meant by balanced forces? If the sum of all forces acting on the body is equal and opposite, then definitely the net force is said to be 0. When the net force is said to be 0, then the body is said to be rest. Remember carefully, the two forces which are acting in the horizontal direction, they are applied force and frictional force. Whereas two more forces which acted along in the vertical direction, they are gravitational force we can call, or weight of the body. The weight of the body always acted downwards. To balance this, there is one more force is applied by offered by the table surface along the vertical direction upwards. Such type of forces we are calling as normal force. So these two are equal and opposite. Whereas these two also equal and opposite. So these two are going to make the net force is said to be 0. Remember carefully, when net force, when balanced forces are acted, they are going to change the shape, or they are going to make the body to be at rest. Nothing but the net force should be 0. When it comes for unbalanced forces, the unbalanced, for example, if you want to make the car to move, then what will happen? For example, if you take, so definitely when the object is going to try to move, for example, this is the force which is applied force by the accelerator vertically. Already we discussed there is one more force which always acted in the opposite direction. Such force is called as frictional force. So in order to overcome the frictional force, here the applied force should be more. Then only the body is going to come into motion. So in unbalanced forces, here the net force is not to be 0. Why the net force is not to be 0? Because by applying the more force, we are overcoming the frictional force. Now remember one thing, when a body comes into motion, when the applied force is more than the frictional force, then only the body is said to be in motion. Until that time the body is said to be rest. So remember one thing, if you want to move a body, or if you want to make the body to come from rest to motion, here the applied force must and should be greater than the frictional force. Remember, the frictional force will be exerted in various forms. In air resistance it is going to be offered, and when the air is going to come in the opposite direction, we can't able to move because the frictional force is more. The frictional force is existing in the form of air or also in the form of fluids. Simply, what is fluid? Which is the gases or liquids we call that. So this friction is existing in the form of air. So if you apply more force than the frictional force, then the body comes into motion. So what is the difference between balanced force and unbalanced forces? In balanced forces, all forces are equal and opposite, whereas in unbalanced forces, they are not equal and the applied force definitely should be greater than the frictional. Here, in balanced forces, the body is said to be at rest, net force is 0. Whereas in unbalanced forces, the net force is not going to 0 because applied force is greater than frictional force. In next class, we discuss few more and different laws and what will be a coming classes we are going to discuss, and on the basis of video we are going to give an assignment of some questions to write and just write it in your regular subject books, complete the work. Thank you.